Hello, everybody, and thank you for rejoining us for part 2 of this interview. Logic, thank you for coming back.
I'm back. Hello.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
Technology sucks.
Yeah, we both have had technical issues for
Yeah,
this.
you had technical issues first yesterday, then I had technical issues, then you had technical issues again today. So,
Yeah, so
yeah,
let's hope we can make it through without any more.
we'll see.
Um,
Don't count your chickens.
yeah, keyword of that is hope. The technology gremlins, they don't always play nice.
Yeah.
Um, But recently on your channel, you've been talking about There Is No Clash. What
I
has been
love
your
talking about There Is No Clash. Please
what
ask
is
me more questions about There Is No Clash.
what is your favorite part of doing that series and why?
God, everything they say is so desperate, man. Like they're basically like whoever's writing it, right? Not the overall presentation, but whoever's writing it is basically Muslim Kent Hovind. It's all like ridiculous quote mines, usually that say either nothing like what they say, or the person never said it at all, or it means nothing remotely like what they presented as meaning. There's they misread popular science articles and then pretend like they know something. Uh it, I think that's my favorite thing about it, really. Like just the fact that like every trope of what you get when you debunk Kent Hovind video is present in this. The only difference is that instead of it being the sleazy used car salesman himself talking, it's a hired face for the channel. But other than that, it's pretty much identical to me. I just
Uh,
find that similarity incredibly amusing.
yeah,
It's a nice change of pace too. A little
yeah.
bit different topics.
Not from the way you describe what has been your favorite part of this?
My favorite part in what sense?
Uh, like what is the most memorable as far as a good way of doing this video series?
As far as a good way, I don't really understand the question, to be honest with you.
Um, okay, what part of this video series have you liked the most in doing this debunk? Like, what was
uh
I
I
guess
think it's
that makes sense.
I think as usual it's any one of those little moments that happen throughout this kind of stuff where you know they end up accidentally like debunking themselves. Basically, they're like arguing against themselves or directly contradicting themselves. There's a lot of instances in their translation where their translation they say their translation says one thing, but actually it explicitly and obviously says the exact opposite thing to what they're saying. I think that's my
Yeah.
favorite. There's a really bad example of that coming in I think it's the next video where they say like the Quran says that there are seven heavens, and what this represents is the seven eras of time since the Big Bang. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? But they present these different lists of seven eras of time, and like here, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. So they present two different lists explicitly in speech, pretty much right after each other, with maybe like a paragraph or two of talking in between, right? And it's like they have basically everything before like the photon epoch, and then they have probably the photon epoch, and then recombination, and then something about atoms start feeling the gravity of dark matter, which I don't know what they mean. Then the first stars, reionization, as two separate eras, even though reionization is a product of the first stars that provided the energy for reionization. And then the many stars and galaxies that exist today is the seventh era. And then they talk for about 20 seconds, and then they say, the eras are, and then they say, the Great Flash Era, and they show on the screen that it's recombination and everything before recombination, which is already completely out of sync with what they originally said, because recombination was era 3, now it's era 1. And then the Dark Ages, when there were like no stars, and it was mostly just like hydrogen and helium. The first stars, reionization, again as a separate era for some reason. Proto galaxies, which the stars would have formed in. But proto galaxies is a much later era, even though the first stars would have formed in proto galaxies. Then galaxies, then the solar system era. These are utterly out of sync with each other. There's nothing about these two lists that is the same. It's the biggest self-ownage I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, we were talking about the self-contradicting. I thought back to the most recent one you put out, where they said, "Oh yeah, this verse says this," and then 10 seconds, like literally no more than 2 minutes later, they're saying, "Oh, the last half means this," which is completely opposite of what the person just said.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's so
I
strange. Like they'll read you something and then interpret it as literally the opposite. Like for example, another one is they say that Carl Sagan's cosmic calendar, where it's like the Earth was formed in August of the cosmic calendar. If you compress the entire history of the universe down to a year, right?
yeah,
Um, and it's kind of to try to like wrap your head around these big giant time scales, right? So you put it in the context of like 1 year, which is easy for people to understand in a TV show. Uh, and they say no, the Quran, yeah, it says that the universe was created in 6 days, but that's a cosmic calendar, just like Carl Sagan's, and it's 6 days long. And look, it says the Earth was created at 2/3 of the universe's age, and they show their translation. And what their translation says is that the Earth was created in 2 days, then it was like refined basically in 4 days, which the usual apologetic is that those kind of are combined, like the refinement and the refinement of 4 days includes the creation of 2 days. But regardless, like very short number of days, and then uh, everything else was created, right?
yeah,
So the Earth was not the creation of the Earth did not start 2/3 of the way through the universe's age. The creation of the Earth started at 0 of the universe's age and went to 2/3 of the universe's age. It's the exact literal opposite of what they say it means. But this is their translation.
yeah. Um, just wondering how much experience, because I know you talk a lot on the Arabic and what the Quran says and the translations
If
of
you're
it
going to
in your
ask me if I
videos.
know Arabic, the answer is definitively no.
Okay,
I get a lot of help for this.
I
Um,
was gonna ask, how hard is that, or do you know it?
Oh, it's
So
hard as fuck. It is hard as fuck. And even the Muslims have problems with it. Like the Arabic speaking Muslims
yeah,
have even seem to have a lot of problems with it. If you look at like there's so many contradictory translations for so many of the passages that we're dealing with here. Um there's this site that has that I use a lot because it shows basically every English translation of the Quran for a particular verse. And they're so wildly disparate sometimes. Like they're very different. And the reason is that it's fucking hard to translate classical Arabic when you know modern Arabic, and that there's like a lot of idiom and stuff that they were using that is also hard to necessarily understand. Like the literal meaning is not going to be the same as the actual intended meaning, and it's not entirely clear even to them. But so a lot of the time, what I'll be doing is I'll be comparing those translations. Sometimes it's really obvious. Like for example, when uh, they translate it as and God turned to the heavens and God turned to the heaven while the heaven God turned to the heaven while it was smoke, and he said to the heavens and the earth, blah blah blah.
yeah,
That's not the correct translation, because what it actually literally says is God turned to the heaven is feminine, and said to her and the earth, right? It's
yeah,
clearly talking about the same thing, but because their apologetic depends on the heaven and the heavens being two separate things, because the heaven is space and the heavens are the eras of time since the Big Bang, for some reason, uh, they have to translate it differently. They have to translate it definitively incorrectly, just obviously and clearly incorrectly. So they're straight up lying in that case. But there are
yeah,
a lot of cases that are much harder because that I have to get Arabic speakers involved with and say like, does this make any sense at all to you? Like, can you see any way that they reach this conclusion? And then, I'll take their advice into consideration. And I can only do so much. Like, it's possible that I get some of this stuff wrong. But what I do know is that There Is No Clash is hugely reaching to try to make the translation suit their conclusion.
Yeah.
That much is blindingly obvious.
So typical apologetic. Got it.
Definitely.
Next, we kind of touched on this, just for those who might not have seen it yet, part one. But what kind of was the video series that you had the most fun making? Like, it was like, if you could go back and do every bit of it again, what would it be?
The most fun, even just an individual video?
Yeah, just an individual video or video series, either or.
You know what? I think maybe my Abu Bakr Siddiq videos. Abu Bakr Siddiq, I'll pronounce his name correctly. I make fun of the transliteration of his name. But he's like this real nice guy doing like Muslim apologetics. He's very like mild mannered and quiet. And I poke fun at him, but honestly, like, I find him to be a very good natured guy. Like, he actually made like a response video to me and was like making fun of me and like making jokes at my expense and stuff. And I was like, dude, this guy's cool, right? Like, he gets it. And the videos themselves I find very fun. So I actually think that, like, he's basically, to me, like, if There Is No Clash is sort of my Muslim Kent Hovind, then he's sort of my Muslim John Morris Pendleton, where he's like very sort of innocent and maybe a bit naive, but he's sort of like a nice guy that you would like sit down and talk with and probably have a good time.
Yeah. Okay, what was your favorite part out of any of those videos on him?
It's hard to remember exactly what was in those videos, to be fair.
Okay.
I think he had I don't know. I remember the part where he like was talking about why atheists are so sad and depressed. And then he just looked like the saddest person in the world. And so I put like sad music behind him while he's like slowly like looking down, like he's about to just jump off a bridge. That might have been one of my favorite parts. It's a little mean, but he was also being a little mean. So I think it was warranted.
Yeah. Now, will we ever see a return of Padre or Nehemiah or any of the other
I'm
fun
sure
characters?
at least Padre is going to be around. Yeah.
Okay.
I like Padre. He's good for illustration sometimes. He's kind of good to like bounce nonsense off of. Especially like I actually have a very large list of similar websites to Padres. Some of them I think are run by the same weird, shadowy Chinese company or group, at least. Maybe not a company, because I think they create a different company for each one. But and some of them aren't. But they're all these like online psychics. But all it actually is you put in your email address and give them a shit ton of money and your credit card information that they can use for whatever the fuck they want, and then they send you an email and tell you like your life is going to be awesome. Just send us more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typical phishing scam.
Yeah. I have a lot of those. Like, I have a list of like maybe 6 or 7 very similar sites that I could do. So I'll probably get to them when I'm in the mood. I kind of got a little burnt out because they're sort of very similar. So it feels like you're repeating yourself, like with Padre, and then there was Angela and like Tara.
Oh yeah, I remember Tara.
Yeah, I think that was all of the ones I've done so far. But they're basically the same thing every time, so you kind of have to go a little bit weird with it. And I don't know. It's for when you're feeling creative, I suppose.
Okay. What has been the hardest claim that you've had to debunk and why? Like, what was the one that was like, I guess,
it's hard to remember all the claims I've debunked, but obviously the hardest one in recent memory was the one where I literally had to go and have like a 2-hour conversation with King Crocoduck after trying to figure this shit out for myself, which was the one all about like where I had to basically give myself a crash course on like the idea of like CP symmetry and CPT symmetry and how that relates to antimatter and how and you know, I don't know. It was crazy. Like I pretty much knew nothing about it going in, and I tried to, I started off with your Wikipedia, your basic stuff, and then I went to like, a little bit more advanced, and then a little bit more advanced, and then I was like reading the actual papers that some of the findings were based on, and gradually trying to educate myself. And then I went to King Crocoduck, who's like a physics grad student,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I think I sort of understand this. Can you help me? Can we have like a chat about this for a second? And he was very nice, and he answered all of my questions and pretty much discussed it with me to the point where I felt like I understood what I was talking about. But that took a lot of work for me to figure that shit out. And yeah.
Yeah, King Crocoduck is cool. I would love to get him on at some point and talk with him, because
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a nice guy.
I think one of my favorite videos from him, I know my girlfriend who sucks at math, her favorite video is the one where he goes through and debunks that you can't be intelligent while swearing, and he solves a physics problem while cussing about every other word. That's, it's typical King Crocoduck fashion. So
Yeah.
Now we all know about chemist, scientist, auto mechanic, mid-husband John Morris Pendleton.
Father of 8? Is it 8? I think it's 8.
I don't remember. It's a big number either way.
It's a too big number for sure. I don't know how he managed it.
Yeah. What was your like most memorable or favorite moment from that series? Because that's where I found your channel, actually, was through that series.
That's hard. That's going way back. That's like till 2013. What the fuck did I do in that series? Astropicithine?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that
That
was a
little
very
artwork,
strange word, and so I took like Athena like pissing on a sun because it's astropicithine. I think people
yeah.
really liked that joke, even though it was kind of like silly. But they like silly.
Hey, I liked it. Um, what was your favorite part of that video series?
My favorite part generally.
Yeah, like if you had to pick one moment, what was it? Or a favorite video from there?
What was the one with the eagle? I think it was like episode 11 or something, where he's like
Might
telling the
be.
different kinds of birds, and there's like the birds that fly, and the birds that don't fly, and the birds that don't fly as much, and the eagle. And like those are the
Yeah,
4 kinds of birds that were on Noah's Ark.
yeah. That was. I had to laugh at that one. Um, so I was listening to some of your other videos earlier, and I rewatched the creation in the 12th century with Karl Barr. Have you gotten over them replacing John Morris Pendleton? Have you finally accepted, half?
I accept my new daddy. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Are we going to see any more Lone Star 1776 tech help videos or any more from them?
I hadn't planned on it. I
Okay.
suppose it's possible that he's still making. I should check his channel,
Yeah,
see if he's still making those paranoid videos about that. Yeah,
I just
I just couldn't believe it. Like it's a fucking conspiracy. His wife fell for a tech support scam. Generic ass. The thing is, shortly before that, I had been watching like a lot of those scam baiting videos about like messing with tech support scammers, and so I knew a lot about their procedures, right?
yeah.
Like I really understood because I'd heard like everything they ever say at that point. And I was just like, this is so predictable. Like before they even talk, I can tell you what they're gonna say. And she's just like, oh, okay, I'll let you into my computer. Hey, can I trust you?
Yeah, that was like, no, you don't let anyone in your computer
Yeah, why
unless
are
you
you
know who the hell it is, or like, one I've only allowed, I think, one person to remote view my computer, and that was I was talking with my ISP, and there was an issue, so they had to go into like my actual router setting through my router, and it was easier for them to do it than me. I have some networking background, and I was like, no, here's what it is. And like, okay, well, we need to see this. And it took them about 15 minutes to even convince me to let them even do that, because I'm like, no, that's my computer. They're like, well, but because obviously they're from my ISP, if something goes wrong, it goes back to the ISP. So I know where that call was coming from. Or
Well,
actually, I
you
know
were
where it
probably
was because
calling
I
them,
was the
right?
one who made the call. So
Right.
so that's why. But even then, knowing who was behind it, who was on the other end, I was still really hesitant, because
Oh yeah.
you're in my computer.
Exactly. And this is just basic, like this is day one internet paranoia level that you should
Yeah,
have. Like you should not be any less paranoid than that. And for some reason, those two, like, she just lets them in. She asks if she can trust them. And it's like, if they're not trustworthy, do you think they're gonna say, no, I'm a scammer? Like,
yeah.
what are you doing? And then
Oh,
she clearly had suspicions, but she let them in anyway. And then they fuck up the computer. I'm assuming they probably syskeyed it or something, trying to get
yeah,
like a ransom. Uh, and then they're like, "Yeah, our computer was trashed. They're out to get us." And it's like, nobody's out to get you except the fucking scammers that you let take over your computer to fucking ransom it back to you. You fucking idiots.
yeah. Oh,
That was a hilarious video. I don't know, like I wasn't planning to do that. Like basically my plan with that was I had these few little nonsense videos that I had nothing else to do with, and I was gonna just have that be one tiny piece of it. But then I went to his actual channel, like his video page, and I realized that there were a bunch of these like screens of like the typical um scammer like pages that they'll advertise on Facebook or whatever.
yeah,
Of like these bright red or like bright blue backgrounds with like warning, your computer is infected and shit like this.
yeah,
And I realized that a bunch of his thumbnails were of those. I was like, holy shit, this is not the first time.
yeah. Yeah, either
And
you got virus or you just accidentally came across a scammer website.
I just went down the rabbit hole with it because it was like all of a sudden I was like going through his channel with a fine tooth comb and searching for keywords that I thought might bring stuff like that up. And I realized that this has been a years long issue for him, fucking himself over and blaming the FBI for it.
Yeah.
The atheist FBI. It's just
Oh
mind
yeah.
boggling.
Yeah. And we can't forget your Reptoid hacker army.
Yeah, that's right. Oh god. Yeah, that was absolutely why the random self-publishing website that is entirely unassociated with them, aside from that they elected to sell their book through it, had a couple certificate issues once. It
Yeah.
was absolutely the atheist hacker army hacking the self-publishing website so that Ken Hovind's book, his amazing book that was going to convince the world, couldn't get out there.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's
Shockingly stupid, man.
yeah, I'm still thinking back to some of the other videos you did, and the whole about like, oh, this guy, he's a coward and basically a pussy for not showing his face. Oh, but the guy on our side, he won't show his face, so he can have anonymity, and that makes him so brave. It's like, dude, if you're gonna call
Yeah.
one person out for one thing, make sure you're consistent. I
Yeah,
don't
didn't he
care.
actually explicitly say that? Like, he doesn't wanna show his face,
Yeah,
I respect that
yeah,
about that guy, and I'm like, "Oh, I see how it is." Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Pick a side on that issue. It's fine, I'll be the pantyhose-faced coward, I don't care.
yeah,
If you wanna call me a coward, it's fine. But, maybe be consistent with your own people too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this, chat. If you have any questions, start asking them. I'm getting towards the end of the handful that I have. Um, so if you have any, ask. Um, Next question is, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat are probably wondering this as well. At least I know I am. But when is the next Kent Hovind video coming out?
Probably, well, I'll probably make it this month. I actually have, the final There Is No Clash video for a while. It's a part 2 of the one that I already have the part 1 up for patrons already.
Okay.
And after that, I will probably do the next Hovind, and then I'm not exactly sure what aside from that, to be honest with you. So it's a good month to do it when I don't have like 8 other things planned. So yeah, I'll probably do that this month. I've actually been. The problem was that for a little while there, I was sort of like on sort of the pseudoscience or like junk science debunks. I was sort of meh for a while. It goes in phases, right? Like
Yeah.
you go based on your mood. You'll do your best work if you do what you feel like doing in the moment. And but then I did that one video about Trey Smith where it was like the worm that proves Jesus. It climbs up the tree and like fucking stays up there for 3 days and then dies and bleeds all over its babies. And that proves Jesus somehow. I did that video and I was like, damn, like these videos with like research and stuff are kind of fun. I'm having a good time with this. And so that was why I went and did all these no clash videos, because I knew there was a bunch of research and I just was kind of in the mood. And now that I'm in the mood for that, you know, the
Yeah.
next Hovind video seems like a good candidate. People people like those occasionally. I don't want to bring them out too often because then I'm back to being, for one thing, the Kent Hovind guy, and for another thing, the guy who's debunking a 17-year-old thing.
Yeah, I can understand that. Any
I don't want to be
tips?
permanently marred with that.
Oh, any tips for someone who's considering possibly doing the full 18-hour seminar?
uh, have fun. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, because every time I hear Kent Hovind's name, I think back to those seminars. I'm like, no one is. Everybody's done the evolution bit. Nobody's really super gone into his other videos. I'm like,
Yeah, he has some other
maybe I should
crazy
be
stuff.
the
Yeah,
maybe I should be the masochist who does that.
maybe you should. The weird thing with that Kent Hovind video was I was planning to, believe it or not, there was a time when I was planning to do that as one video, the entire thing. And I was like, it'll probably be about 6 hours. I'll just do this crazy thing because that was before I had to like regularly get videos out, right? And I was like, I'll just do this crazy thing. I'll make one 6 hour long video and it'll just be ripping this entire thing to shreds. And then you know, I realized like, okay, because I was kind of half scripting it and half going by notes. It was kind of in that transitional period where I was just starting to work with a script a little bit, and now I'm all scripted. Like I find it so much easier to collect my thoughts and get everything right and make it make sense. But back then, I just kind of talked randomly and sort of put notes when I felt like I needed a bit of help. Um, and I realized like this is not good quality. Like I had 2 hours of it done, like recorded. I don't know where I was up to, but it covered at least the first 4 or 5 of those Kent Hovind videos, the actual ones that I released. But it just was not good quality.
Yeah,
And I rewrote and re-recorded all of it. Like I threw those 2 hours of content completely away. Uh,
yeah,
and have not finished it since. And I started it in 2013, I think.
yeah.
So it gets a little wearing on
I,
your mind at a certain
I
point.
yeah, I can imagine. Um, Next, the last two questions I have, then I'll get to some stuff from the chat, both from yesterday and today, that they've asked. The first one is, I meant to ask this yesterday. I don't know why I didn't. But what is, in your opinion, the most convincing argument you've heard for God,
Oh
and
God.
why?
Oh
Or
my
what's the
God.
best argument? Or I guess I should say.
I should have a ready answer to this, shouldn't I, for the amount of times I get asked and ignore it.
I know they're all bad, so it does make it hard.
Probably some of the ones at least that are harder for me are like some of the ones that come from like more of the classical theist types where they bring up like Aquinas or something. And I haven't really like gone through those arguments too much. And so I haven't really thought about them too much, I guess is sort of the main thing. I guess that's my answer, is the ones that I haven't thought about yet. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
as soon as you actually sit down and take the time, you start to find the inconsistencies. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, and then I was talking to this one guy, this one sort of classical theist type. It wasn't at classical theist. It was like one of his buddies, and the guy was like, "Yeah, you know what? You should stop doing all these lame Protestants and stuff. You should debunk the true church and debunk like the real Christianity, Catholicism, and debunk Aquinas or like look at Aquinas." And I was like, okay, well, that's an interesting suggestion. Like I know that Aquinas' five ways, to show that God exists or whatever exactly they're called, the five ways anyway. Um, I know that those are popular. Like I could look at those in a video or something. Would that make you happy? And he's like, well, no, because what you would have to do is read Aquinas' entire bibliography and then learn all of the terminology and then relate that back to the five ways, because otherwise you won't even understand what the five ways are, let alone, be able to say anything whatsoever against them legitimately.
Oh god,
And so I'm like,
that sounds
okay, well, then that's why I don't.
yeah.
You see? Do you see my problem? It's like that becomes an incredibly hard argument to debunk if that's how the people who are proponents of it are thinking of it, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like if I don't go through literally every word that Thomas Aquinas ever wrote, you're not gonna accept anything I say. Well, then I just won't say anything. You know?
Okay.
I might say it for the benefit of just my followers so they know the arguments and they know some of the, at least some rebuttals to it, but I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a pointless endeavor.
Yeah. Um and then so the flip side of that is, what is the worst argument that you've heard in the argument of God?
I dreamed it.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
dreamed that
him.
gray aliens, Satan's army, are gonna come and invade the planet. So drop your pride and get right with God. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much. I can't think of too much worse than that off the top of my head.
Yeah, every time I seem to try and forget about that guy, you love to bring him up, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm trying to forget about him.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that guy. I occasionally go back and watch his videos. I'm just waiting for the one that sparks me again, and
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I'll do another video on him because he seems a little irrelevant. He got very pissy. Like after I made my video, a very few people went over and commented on his videos. It really was not that many.
yeah,
Um, very few people do that from my audience, and they went over and they were like, "I disagree with you," and then he was arguing with them, and he
yeah,
was making videos about his problems with atheists, and he made like 3 or 4 videos whining about it,
yeah,
whining about how atheists are so prideful and so they just want to argue. Stop arguing. Shut up and listen. Stop arguing with me. Stop debating. You just want to debate. Drop your pride. And then he made another video. I'm turning off comments because the atheists won't drop their pride. And
yeah,
so I'm like, oh, good. So now you're totally irrelevant.
yeah, yeah.
Bye.
It was it get like shortly before they said, "Yeah, I'm never turning comments off so I can communicate with them," and then like literally the next day, I'm turning comments off after this video.
Yeah. And
I
honestly, there were like maybe, I don't know how many people, like there was maybe a few dozen at first, and probably by the end there was like 10
yeah,
people arguing. It is really like so minuscule, such a small number of people, and most of them weren't being just ridiculous. Like most of them were like, they might have been not necessarily polite, but they were making points, right? And I don't know, it's such a weird attitude.
yeah. Um, Yeah, it's I mean for me, I mean I find the mean or hate comments absolutely hilarious.
Me
Um
too. Yeah, they're the
I
best comments.
yeah, like I had one who, oh god, it was the first one I got, and it was like atheists are part of the Illuminati New World. It was like about everything you would expect to find on that. Then I had a guy who called me an imbecile and a twat because I interviewed someone and they debunked flat earth. And yet this guy claims he's not a flat earther, yet he has stuff from well-known flat earthers and well-known flat earth content liked on his channel. So it's, I went had a back and forth, and I'm like, yeah, fine, go ahead, yell all you want now. You're just going to be yelling to the black void of the internet because I don't care anymore. I'm done. And all those are up. I mean, in fact, the crazy one, he has the pen, he's actually the pinned comment on that video. Because, like, I want the whole world to see your comedy there. You're an idiot. Let the world see it.
Yeah,
So
I don't understand why anyone would turn their comments off. It's like
yeah,
if you're not in the mood, like I I get it. Like there honestly, I don't check comments all that often anymore, and it's just because like, you know, sometimes you're not in the mood. Like especially for me when it's sort of like, I have to put videos out, but I don't necessarily have to interact in the comments unless I'm in the mood.
yeah,
And sometimes I do when I'm in the mood. But it's like and other times I don't even read it. Sometimes I won't read the comments on a whole video. It's just the way it is. I mean, sorry, but
yeah,
yeah, it's basically a work life balance.
yeah.
And
Oh, God.
but I don't understand why you would turn it off because you can literally just ignore it. Like if you're not interested, let people talk with each other, and who cares? You don't have to read any of it if you don't want to.
Yeah, yeah. The only way a comment will ever be deleted on my video is if you're making threats of any kind, or you're promoting, you know, some sort of illegal activity.
Yeah.
Then I will probably screen cap the comment, and then I will delete it. And if I feel it's necessary, report it to the proper authorities. That's if that's the case. But so for me to delete a comment, it would have to cross a serious line.
If they're threats against me, I leave them up because I want those visible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. That makes sense. I
I had
haven't.
this video back when the Amos Yee issue was a thing, when he was still in
Uh,
Singapore and he was still facing jail, and back then before he,
went off the deep end.
yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, uh, I made this video response to Adam Sala because he was like making this response to Amos where he was calling him a racist and like threat. He was like, I want to punch this kid in the face. And I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And then he like was trying to send his people over to report the video, like report Amos's video. And I was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just respond to the video if you want to respond to the video. Don't send your people to
Yeah.
dogpile it and report it. Send them over to comment if you have to, but don't send them over to report it. you
Yeah.
know. And so I made this video response to that guy, and it has 40,000 comments on it, and which is just insane. I don't know how it got that many comments, but the large percentage of that is pissed off Adam Saleh fans who are majority Muslim. And it's like, that is the greatest. If I could put that in a museum, that comment section, I mean, it is a work of art. If anyone gets the chance to go and see that comment section, oh my God, it is the funniest fucking thing. The funniest pile of shit you ever saw.
Yeah.
It's so valuable to me. Like, if that video ever got taken down and I lost all those comments, I would be so sad.
Um. Yeah. And the now into kind of some of the um comment stuff. One of the ones from yesterday that I have is I was supposed to ask you about the cosmic butter.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the Hindu science thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was odd. I'd never seen that was why I did it. It was such a novel thing to me that I had never seen anyone try to basically do the same thing they do with the Bible and the Quran, where it's like, look how much this knew about science. But it's like they're doing the same thing, the scientific miracles of like whatever book it was, whatever one of the Hindu books it was.
Yeah.
I just thought that was such an
Okay.
odd
Yeah.
thing, and especially when it's so goddamn wacky that it's clearly not in line with modern science in any way. The cosmic butter ocean.
Yeah. Okay. And the next question comes from Chrismer, And he asks, "How disgusted do you feel when you show that tiny bit of skin between your eyes when doing muzzle videos? Because you should feel totally disgusted."
I'm starting to like it. Kind of makes my forehead wet. Maybe I want to show more, huh? Maybe I should do like the world's slowest striptease and just gradually widen the gap. Cut off like a 2 millimeter strip every time I make a video. Just gradually show more and more and more forehead until I finally reach the 5 head.
Okay. And then another one from Frustrated Atheist is, who is your favorite smaller channel?
Favorite? How small is smaller?
Frustrated, how are we going? Like, was that under 1,000, under 10,000?
This is a mean question though, because I feel like whoever I'm saying, I'm excluding someone else.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll do that when I get around to doing a shout out video. How about that?
Okay.
Because I intend to. It's one of those things that is eternally on the back burner. And then I always see like drama with people. And then I'm like, wait, if I do that, then this person's gonna be mad at me, or that person's gonna be mad at me. I don't know. I go back and forth about it.
Yeah.
But I do intend to do it. I've done them before. I've done quite a few of them before. Especially for smaller channels. I enjoy helping smaller channels grow, like as you say, from like under 1,000.
Yeah.
Trying to bump them up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll just say EZ for now.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious. That's my obvious answer. That's my obligatory answer.
I was like, I think you kind of have to, kind of have to make that answer, at least if you want, to have a happy life right now.
That's
I'm
right.
sure, I'm sure she has a nice doghouse for you if need be.
ISETH original.
Yeah.
I mean, she does have like 14,000 subscribers, but whatever. Smaller. She is smaller. You can't deny.
Yeah. Next we have one from Reese. It is, or no, sorry, Josiah. Sorry, we looked the wrong one. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle?
I don't know the Ninja Turtles. I can't even tell them apart.
We're gonna go with Michelangelo.
Okay, well,
that's
sure.
my favorite. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's the best one.
I don't know. I think you might like him. He's the party turtle. He's the one who, he loves pizza, loves the party, and just basically wants to just goof off and have fun.
Can you tell me which color he is and which weapon he uses?
Orange and nunchucks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The most I know about Ninja Turtles is that my friends had Ninja Turtle action figures when I was a kid, and other than that, I have no fucking clue. Sorry, I feel like a bad 90s kid. I mean, I'm technically an 80s kid, but 90s kid from the point where I was actually like aware.
Yeah. Okay. Shane asks, please ask you to comment on any of the following videos you produced: Dennis Prager, Stand to Reason, David Wood, or Penn Jillette. Penn Jillette.
Not gonna. Let's see. I think Stand to Reason is the best one because I think I produced as many videos on them as I've probably produced on No Clash at this point. Because for some reason I just really love dopey ass Greg Kukul, where he has this very frank way of talking, where he's always very insistent, and then as soon as he's done with a sentence, his face goes whoa and droops.
Yeah.
I have no idea if anyone knows what I mean. I think my patrons do, because I made a video where I actually made the whoa noise every time his face did that. But I never did that in a published video. But I love that guy. I don't know. It's his delivery. He seems so he tries to sound so authoritative, but he clearly can't even add 2 and 2 together. And I just find the contrast between that absolutely hilarious. His friends are kind of funny too, but in the sense that they try to imitate him. Like, he's basically the ringleader of this whole thing, and he inspired these other people to join his weird ministry, and they basically replicate his really strange hand movements, where it's constantly like he's grabbing a boob and shifting it off the screen, and then grabbing the other boob and then shifting it up, you know, and he's constantly like shifting boobs around the screen with his like weird hook hands. And then the people, the other guys in his ministry do the same thing. And I'm like, why are you doing that? That's weird. It's really weird. But they don't realize it. Anyway.
Yeah, I think people are trying to start playing wars on my channel. The chat's asking things like, like Batman or Superman. So, got a take on that?
I think Batman has more potential to be an interesting hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can agree. Then Chris Moraz, which band is better, Metallica or Megadeth, and why is it Metallica? I don't think you much of an
Megadeth.
option in that.
I like Megadeth better.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Dave Mustaine's like voice necessarily. He has like a really weird voice, but I don't know. I think the music's better. It's like a little more like I don't know. It especially like a little bit later Metallica. Like obviously, Master of Puppets and stuff like is great, but I don't know. Later on, they just went too weird and rockish. Like I feel like they turned into fucking Nickelback or something. Maybe that's a controversial statement. No, I probably started the flame war.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. It's there was another one. Iron Raw or Thunderfoot.
Iron Raw.
Okay. And then
I
someone
mean,
asked
I
about
think Thunderfoot, like I should say a little bit of my reasoning. Like Iron Raw, I find for me personally, his content can be maybe a little dry. I like in debates when he gets angry. That's always fun to see. But and I'm kind of biased too because like I've met him and I haven't met Thunderfoot, so I've like talked to Aaron. I kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit more than I do with Thunderfoot. But when it comes to Thunderfoot's like actual like science stuff or like his why do people laugh at creationists and that kind of stuff, he does a pretty good job with that too. And I think it's a little more sort of upbeat and interesting, unless he's doing one of those videos where he's repeating himself for the 500th time about self-filling water bottles or Hyperloop.
yeah.
But I can't fault him for that. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Um,
I'll go with Aaron Ra. Yeah.
yeah.
If you have to make me choose, if I
Someone
have to
asked
shoot one and marry the other one.
Okay. Then Frustrated asks, Dean Esme, so I'm wondering if that means are you looking at maybe doing a Dean Esme
That's
video?
a funny comment. I like that comment. Dean Esme. That makes me laugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dean Esme versus King Crocoduck.
Oh.
That was the most glorious, screaming, childish tantrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck you! I don't have to provide sources for my claim that Christians are oppressed in science. Fuck you! Yeah, my God, what a worthless little bitch. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What a whiny little stupid cunt. And of
Yeah.
course now he's gonna say that I'm persecuting him or something.
Oh,
Let him.
Logic, did you kill Yahweh again? I think I hear cop sirens out there.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. I get the urge once in a while.
Yeah. And so Christopher asks, he says, I have a serious question. How do you feel about half the skeptic community going towards more of the anti-SJW direction instead of just going after? I think you kind of talked on that a little bit yesterday.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I pretty much covered it in part one. But like, I don't really care what they do. I mean, it's just at the time when I felt like if I were to get any views at all or anything, I would have to do the same thing. That was a very bad feeling. But I don't really feel that way anymore. Like my views aren't stellar, but I have a relatively like decent viewer base who's like seems fairly committed to like watching my stuff. Like I have sort of my core crew of people who like what I'm providing and who seem to watch it consistently. So I feel relatively secure on that front. And whether it grows or not, it's nice if it grows, but That'll happen. That'll happen with time. But like I feel like much more secure now that I see not just my channel, but generally like atheism focused channels growing very significantly. Like I feel like the topic is sort of making a comeback. People care about it a little bit more. And that's very heartening to see. So when I see people like, growing super fast and stuff, I'm like, all right, that's, even though they could be considered competition to me, I don't really see it that way.
Yeah.
Like I see it as this is only good news.
Yeah.
Especially considering that there aren't too many people who are doing kind of very similar content to mine. Like there are a few people who do response videos, but a lot of the people who are growing faster are making sort of um, just speaking their own mind without really making it a response format. So that's not even that. Like that's not competition in any sense. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like it's great. I feel like things are looking up, and I feel like some of the old crew might be stuck talking about social issues and politics and bullshit for the rest of their career on YouTube, but I'm not. I got out early enough. They can go do what they want, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of more linked in with the new guys now,
Mhm.
and seems good.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you. I mean, I love the atheist skeptic community that's here on YouTube. It's, you know, I think it's really good because everybody's willing to help everybody else out. I mean, it's just yeah, so it's really good. And I mean, and like I said, if I hit 10, 20, 30,000 subscribers, if someone I'll be willing to help people out because, like I said, everybody who's made it to that point knows what it's like struggling and scraping at the bottom. I mean,
Yeah, and that's one
it's
reason I feel guilty about not doing a shout out video recently. I used to do them a lot more often, and I just, I think it was since I sort of started producing videos like all the time that I sort of stopped doing like the little side content,
yeah.
which is unfortunate. I should do that,
Okay.
you know.
Um, one question from Shane is he wanted me to ask you, who do you feel is the most vile and or dangerous apologist you've encountered?
And or dangerous.
Yeah.
Vile and or dangerous. That comes down to a lot of things because it's like you have to take into account influence levels and shit
Yeah.
like that as well, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just want a person that I think is a complete piece of shit, I mean, it's either like that video I did with that guy who's like sneering at Stephen Hawking burning in hell. Anyone
Oh
like that
God. Yeah.
is pretty vile, but usually not very influential.
Yeah.
And then same with people like Dean Esme who go around saying like remember that time that I think he left a comment. It was on Godless Cranium, one of Godless Cranium's videos. He left this comment like, "Yes, atheists absolutely should be oppressed and censored and silenced because they're
Oh,
evil and dangerous and
that's
terrible people."
Dean. That's Dean with Red Pill Religion.
Yeah, that's Dean Esme, and
Oh God.
he, you know, that as well is vile, but he has no influence. He's a nobody, and so it's like when I'm trying to think of someone who's actually dangerous, it's like it's hard to say, right? Like, I mean, I guess I would have to go for one of the people that I haven't actually really debunked in videos, like one of the people who's super popular, right?
Yeah. Well.
Um, but I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. I mean, maybe like you're like Joel Osteen or like one of these super popular Christian types, or like Zucker Naik, or one of these super popular Muslim types, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just in
I
terms of danger level.
Yeah. As far as danger level for me, I think I don't know. I might put either like Ken Ham or William Lane Craig. I think those two are with their
Yeah.
ideas. Um,
What ideas of William Lane Craig's do you find like? Because I know Ken Ham is really into like
yeah,
the
it's
detriment of science and pushing it on kids, but then uh,
he's I guess maybe not so much more dangerous, but his ideas are just so stupid that his arguments are so easily refuted. And I guess as far as like people trying to have arguments and not using critical thinking skills, I guess, is more in that aspect. Is he really, out of all of them, I think he's one of the, you know, I don't know how to describe it. It's just he's maybe just his idiocy, and I just hate idiots. So
And I guess another way you could think about it is like the people who want actual harm inflicted on people, which, there are a lot that I couldn't name because I know they're out there and popular, but I don't know their names specifically. But like also people like,
mm,
Steven Anderson and Matt Powell and the obvious
oh god,
offenders of it,
don't
who are,
oh Matt
but
Powell,
again, what is their influence level really?
yeah,
But when you come up and say like, yeah, unruly kids and gay people should be stoned to death, but we don't want to do it. We just want to institute a government that'll do it for us, so that we have no responsibility.
yeah,
Like, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad, but it's not going to happen.
okay,
So I don't know.
yeah,
Not very dangerous, but pretty vile.
uh, Chris, remember that one was already asked about the Kent Hovind. You need to pay more attention to the interview. And then Nacho Witness asks, what conspiracy or argument does Logic face palm hardest to?
Do you want the real honest answer to that one? Because it's not going to
Sure,
be a satisfying answer, but it'll be true.
sure. I
Whatever one I'm doing that week.
okay.
I'm not kidding, because you can ask my wife. She will tell you the amount of ranting and raving that I do to her. She is so patient with me. I will just go off on hours long rants about the shit that I'm debunking and how stupid it is and why it's stupid. I probably should record that and put it on YouTube, but I'm not sure if I want to. But yeah, it's literally whatever I'm working on at the moment is the thing that really just I'm always shocked. I'm always surprised all over again. I'm like, how do people think this? How do I live in the world where people think this? And I'll continue to say this to her every time. And I'll be like, I've never heard anyone say anything this stupid. This has got to be the worst video I've ever debunked. How the hell did we even find this video?
And,
How did they even think to come up to say this?
and
And
I
it's like,
could,
wait, I've said this for every video for the
yeah,
last 5 years.
yeah. I was gonna say, and knowing he's that, I could just see her say something about, well, do you remember last week and the week before, or some
Yeah,
smart aleck comment like that.
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that right there is a good woman keeper.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
No, I would go nuts without her.
yeah, I can relate. My girlfriend's the same way. I've done, I don't know how many times I've ranted at her about just like, oh god, can you believe what this person said in this video that I'm doing at this point? And she's like, I can imagine, you've told me many times. um, so yeah, who was it that asked that? I just saw the question. Yeah, chaosism asks, what is the
What was
biggest
that?
chaosism?
Oh, I thought you I thought you said chaos is on ass.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, if he's sitting down, he might be on his ass, so that
That's
might be
true.
an accurate statement.
Yeah, there might be nothing lewd about this whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. Chaosism
Yeah.
asks, what
No, I
is
got
your
it now.
biggest mistake in video so far?
Oh Christ. Honestly, anything in the early Hello, I'm a Scientist, there was a lot. Also, I don't tend anymore to make huge mistakes that I'm aware of, like huge ones. Um, but like, there was that one video about the skyscraper in the eye where I pretty much bought into the thing of like anything that has the possibility of happening will happen. And then people were like, actually, and then they show me the math for why that's not actually true. And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, well, now I feel dumb.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's stuff like that, but I kind of brush it off and forget about it. So I sort of, like obviously if I see a comment like that, if I check the comments and I see a comment that's addressing like a really obvious error, I'll like pin it sometimes, or at the very least hope that it gets thumbed up enough that it like gets displayed, or like put the little heart thing next to it, or but for the amount that I actually check comments, guilty confession, it's like not too often. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I try. I'm sure that most of the time with an audience like mine, the corrections are probably being pushed right up to the top anyway.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. And Johnny Drive-By asks, what is your best argument against the existence of God?
Depends which God. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like if you have a God that's full of internal contradictions, then your best argument is just going to be pointing out the internal contradictions, which I do with like the omnis and everything like that.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you have like a more vague, like deistic kind of thing, it's more just like a probability argument and like sort of like an Occam's razor kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it's not real strong, but it's enough to get kind of like a tentative, like, okay, I'm pretty sure that's not there kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
But in the same sense as like, I'm pretty sure there aren't transdimensional Sasquatches. It's like, there's nothing internally inconsistent about a transdimensional Sasquatch. I'm just pretty sure that that's not the way things work
Yeah.
based on inference and it's not like I'm going to exclude them 100%, right? There's a reason I don't do
So,
that.
so you mean you don't buy into the universe is God and we're all connected and peace, love, and harmony, dude?
Hey, peace, love, and harmony sounds lovely,
Yeah.
but aside from that, I don't buy
Yeah.
into it. No,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you it is absolutely wrong, but it also doesn't mean that I'm going to pretend that I actually think it's real. And it's certainly, I'm one of these people who will say that I believe there's no God just because, as I say, the same sense as I believe there's no transdimensional Sasquatches. It's like, you know, it's as tentative as that, but that's as tentative as it needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to pretend like I don't need to pretend like I just lack the belief. Some people do just lack the belief,
Yeah.
which is why I'll
Yeah.
defend that position as well. But
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not going to act like I do. So
Yeah. Okay. The another question from Chaosism is: would you consider it worth it making a 60-hour animated / illustrated videos versus just talking on screen?
60 hour,
I think that's supposed to be a 60-minute.
16-minute animated video,
Yeah, I think
like
that
where I
might have been
move
a
the
typo.
head, like an Armored Skeptic kind of thing, where I like make the head move every
I
so often, every few seconds.
I don't know. Chaosism. How exactly are you meaning, like animated?
If you mean like actually animated, it's
Oh,
never
so
worth
60
doing.
hours of work. Like so,
No,
like a 60.
no.
Okay.
If I thought it was worth it, I'd be doing it.
Okay. All right.
No, why would I do that to myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone who does that, especially in the current YouTube climate with the algorithm the way that it is, I applaud them. And any success that comes to them, they've absolutely earned it.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
mean, Jesus.
yeah. One that
If
comes
it's
to.
just if it's animated in the sense of like making the head move or something, then it'd be worth it because it wouldn't take me 60 hours.
Yeah.
Uh, I know how to do that, and I could do it if I was so inclined. I don't want to, but I could, and it wouldn't take that long.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think of animated, the first one that comes to mind is Dark Matter.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Oh.
well, I guess at this point, I guess that's he's kind of stuck with it. But
Yeah.
he if it's worth it for him, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
I have respect for him because I can't animate. I don't even know the first step I would do to that.
even if you know it, it just takes so much work. Same with people like Captain Disillusion. You know Captain Disillusion? He's not an atheist guy. He's a I don't know if he's an atheist or not. It doesn't really matter.
I don't know.
He debunks like hoax videos and stuff. Like
Okay.
basic example like a UFO hoax or like like a trick shot that's faked or random hoax videos, and
Okay.
but he puts so much production effort into it, like all this CGI. Like he'll reproduce the original video and have like fucking flashy graphics tracking all across the screen. He'll like wipe parts out of the original video and then put them back in, like reanimate them back in to show you how it's done. I mean, the amount of time that guy must put into his videos just boggles my mind. I don't know if it's more than what Dark Matter puts in or not. Um, maybe he's quick enough that it's not, but it seems like it could be. And they're not animated videos. Like he films himself, but it's all the CGI and everything that's around it. I don't know how these
Yeah.
people do it. I don't know how they do it at
Yeah.
all.
I don't know either. Mine is literally talking into a headset mic or a video camera. That's
Well,
that's my
essentially mine
production
is
value.
too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I do my audio. Like, I mean, most of my time is spent writing.
Yeah.
The worst stuff for me is editing, and like with these, I just don't like it really. It's very inconvenient and time consuming, and I'm not very good at it. And you know, people like Dark Matter and Captain Disillusion, that's all they do. Like that's what their whole thing is editing, just tons and tons and tons of editing. It's like, yeah, I do my audio, I edit it as quick as I can to get it out of the way. I film it, I edit the filmed version in on top of the audio and export it, and it's basically done, right? But it's like that for me is an annoying process. So I can't even imagine what these
Yeah.
guys are doing.
Um. Yeah. And one other question from Christopher is, what is your favorite Muslim argument?
I guess it comes down to favorite in what sense again, but I like
Uh,
any of the Quran science stuff.
okay.
I really like how desperate they are to make to embrace science, sort of, at least a faux version of science that is going to match a twisted version of the Quran, and they'll just go so far for it. It's very funny how far they will go and how much damage they will do to what their actual book says to try to make it fit. I just love all that stuff. Every Muslim science argument just about that I've seen has just been a gold mine of comedy to me. You know, especially the ones where they'll say like, "Yeah, look at the embryology in the Quran. Look how amazingly accurate it is." And then it's like, actually, it's inaccurate, and it's inaccurate in the exact same way as like Hippocrates and Galen had it like 1,000 years before you.
Yeah.
You stole their ideas, pretended it was your original ideas, or Muhammad, you know, not stole necessarily, but he heard about them. Because, I mean, the migration from Greece to Arabia is not large. He heard about these ideas, spoke them with the errors and all, and then that ended up in the Quran. And it's like, look at the scientific miracle. It's like, no, look at the copy paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Johnny asked, was Wildwood Claire the first person to give you was the first person to give you a shout out?
No, I think that was Monkey Tail 2002.
Okay.
Probably, I don't know if anyone knows Monkey Tail 2002.
No, I'm not familiar with
He
them.
was like my first buddy on YouTube. Like
Okay.
when I first started out, you know, knowing like nobody, he was like, "Yeah, come on, we have like this Skype group going with all these different YouTubers," and it was all these people like around, you know, a couple hundred subs kind of range, and like we all got to know each other, and you know that eventually fell apart due to a whole bunch of like weird drama that I had nothing to do with, but it was like all this weird relationship drama, and it was like being involved in a goddamn soap opera. Um, that was really useful to the start, and yeah, shout out to Monkey Tail. I don't know if he's still making videos like debunking anything. He used to debunk like creationists and Christians
Okay.
and whatever years and years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that whole bit. Reese C just said cats won't walk on the Quran. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, I
oh
saw
yeah.
that from David Wood, where
Yeah.
he's getting the cats to walk on the Quran, but then he was like, "This is a follow-up video to show the cats walking on the Quran again because people said that my English Qurans and my dual language Qurans weren't real Qurans. So these are Arabic Qurans. And he flips through them. He's like, what is this book? What is this?
Yeah.
And, he's like, now all you can say is what? I ripped a page out. What? I changed a letter here or there and made my own Quran or something like that. Put covers on different books.
Yeah.
No, these are real, authentic Arabic Qurans. And oh, look at that! My cat is walking on it to eat this food. And that was a hilarious video. That guy can do some entertaining stuff. It's just too bad he's also kind of a loon bag.
Yeah. I was supposed to ask you to comment on Dennis Prager and PragerU. I just asked you to comment on it. So
they suck. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah.
Like I've rarely seen anything good out of them, and anything that I did see good out of them, I felt like was just sort of tacked on to try to get viewers so that they could push their bullshit agenda.
Yeah.
So I don't really see much value in them. I mean,
yeah. And Chris Morass, how did you feel when you finally had to call Armored Skeptic out for his shit, claiming to be the first person to use the avatar like yours or like his? Or he did.
I don't want to talk too much shit here, honestly. Like,
I wasn't sure, but yeah, I understand.
I mean, I can comment a little bit in the sense that, like, after I called him out for that, because he was basically going around like making fun of people for being clones of him.
Yeah.
And it was sort of tongue in cheek, but it's also like publicly like mocking people who just happen to have like a cartoon avatar, not even really similar to his. And so I made that video basically saying, like, dude, if you want to pretend like you're so original, maybe cut it out, because you're as original as they are, basically. People are taking inspiration from you, and you say you took inspiration from me, but you don't hear me bitching about it, right?
Yeah.
Frankly, to me, when people take inspiration from me, to me, that's a compliment. Like, I'm happy if there's like a bunch of bobbleheaded YouTubers around, doing, debunks and, snappy debunks of different stuff. It's like, to me, that's kind of cool, and the fact that people have said to me, like, yeah, you were an inspiration for me to start my channel. It's like, that really means something to me. But then you see this guy going around and being pissy about it. Now, I will say, after I made that video, he was pretty good natured about it. He went on his like side channel and said, I think I have to like reevaluate a couple things. They're probably right about my attitude a little bit, and I was like, okay, cool. And I mean, that lasted until I saw that he made that one video where he was basically parroting Christian propaganda. It also annoyed me that in that same video where he was making fun of the Skeptic clones, like, the Skeptic clone thing was supposed to be a side issue. And the only reason it was like a part 1 video was like, I was going to get that out of the way, because that was kind of just like, dude, seriously? And then I was going to get into the meat of it, because in that same video, he was making those arguments about how critical Christianity is to Western civilization and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, kind of more pissed off about that. But after he came out and sort of had this gracious, dignified, in my opinion, relatively dignified response and stuff, I was like, I don't want to harp on this right now. And, that was kind of where that ended. So, I mean, I don't know, like, and now I see him, after, I don't know if it had anything to do with my other videos about, the claims about the laws and the paranoia and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if that had anything to do with his change in his content, but he kind of turned around and started, like, I see now he's doing like videos about UFOs, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, man. Like, if you're not going to do the research on this other stuff that's kind of more important, go do that, and that's cool. I'm not gonna even,
No, I understand.
like, I'm genuinely not trying to talk shit about the guy now, because I like have no problem with him anymore.
No,
Just
I
those couple
understand
of
it.
issues
So I was like, that's kind of a touchy subject there. I was like,
I'm
well,
trying to
ask
handle
it. Yeah, no, I understand. It's I've had some fallouts with people, so I fully understand. Kind of,
Yeah,
well, not
like
fully, but understand somewhat about how you might feel on it.
yeah, and like you know, I don't think he wants to talk to me, but if he ever came to me and was like, "Hey, man, like, you know, let's talk or whatever,"
Yeah,
I'd be like, "Sure, dude. Yeah, fine."
yeah,
Um, I don't think it's gonna happen, but
yeah, yeah.
you
It's
know,
all water under the bridge.
for me, it is
Um,
anyway. So
yeah,
you know, and that's not trying to put anything on him. It's not like I totally get it. Like if he wants to avoid me, I 100% understand it. And also people were like after my second one about like all the law issues and stuff, people were like, "Did he ever make a response to you? Did he ever make a response to you?" And I'm like, "I didn't make that to get a response. He's not
yeah,
obligated to make a response. When people make responses to me, I usually don't respond either." Right? Like it's not something that you're obligated to do and it doesn't call anything into question if you don't.
yeah,
And I think that was something that bothered me about the reaction to it was like that I think it was misunderstood maybe what my intention was because I wasn't trying to like call him out to the point where he would like come back and publicly like denounce everything he'd said or something. That wasn't the goal.
yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, I know you were an inspiration for me to start making the content that I make now. I mean, I have my channel obviously, but I mean, I did other stuff with it because like I started off with the MLP stuff, and then I kind of worked my way into gaming and doing some news stuff, and then I made it into doing the atheist stuff, and you were a huge influence on that. Um,
That's cool.
the a question uh from Hans asks, how does he avoid getting bored? Feel I have heard every argument more than 100 times.
Um I don't always, you know. Uh Sometimes you get bored, but there's always something new out there. Like it's pretty hard to address literally everything. So there's still a lot to address. I think that's why I've been having so much fun. Like whether my audience is quite on the same page and having as much fun as me with this there is no clash stuff.
Yeah,
I've been having an
I
absolute blast with it. Like it's so new and fresh to me. Like maybe the arguments have been made before, but these weird arguments about it I haven't heard before, and the weird ways of twisting the Quran and stuff I haven't heard before. And also a lot of the sources that are being used to make these arguments, like a lot of the popular science articles that they're using, are from really recent years, you know, so
yeah,
they're pretty fresh. And I just find it great. Like, especially the one about human evolution. They were like, yeah, the Quran absolutely says that humans evolved in Ethiopia. Like, wait. The Quran says humans evolved. I have literally never heard that before.
yeah,
Maybe I'm just ignorant, but if anyone said that before, I don't know. I wasn't listening.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I've loved your There Is No Clash video series. There's just, like I said, I think I love most of your videos that you've done. I just find them very entertaining, and you're just a very entertaining person
oh,
as
thanks.
well to watch.
You know,
Um,
with the no clash stuff, I feel like that's going to be increasingly relevant. So I'll probably be make. You know, I have basically one more that's already ready to publish, and then I'm just finishing up one more after that, and then that'll be it for a little while. But I'll probably come back to it because again, it comes down to influence, right? Like I see the
yeah,
rate that they're growing and the amount of favor that they're getting, the positive reaction that they're getting, and the way it's getting spread around social media and stuff. And
yeah,
I find that pretty dangerous. And
yeah,
so I'll probably be going back to them. Plus, as they get bigger, they'll probably be like a better target to like get views off of, which I know sounds cynical, but hey, you know, it's business. So I mean, I'm not going to pretend, you know. But
yeah,
yeah, I do get bored. Obviously, I get bored. Like
yeah,
especially, you know, when I kind of had my downtime from making videos in any way related to like scientific issues or anything like that, I was kind of doing a lot of like the traditional arguments, not traditional, but like a lot of the sort of typical common arguments for Christianity or for like in favor of like the how good hell is or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fun for a while, but I kind of got bored over time, and that's why I kind of dove back into the sort of more sciencey side. So you just kind of gotta keep it fresh for yourself, jump back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. And I'll just I have one question, then I'll read the latest one from the chat, and then I think that might be it for us because we've been going at for uh wow, for about an hour and a half now. So
Yeah, and
we'll
probably yesterday
ask
was fun
these,
too.
and
So
then I'll finish it up. The first one was the missing the mark, trying to do a parody of you. I think it was missing
I
the
loved
mark who
it.
did
He
it.
did such a good
What
job.
yeah.
He did such a terrible job of representing my arguments, but he did such a good job of representing me.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, aside like the fact that he was wearing gardening gloves, I found just fucking hilarious. But I
Yeah.
had to make fun of him for not realizing that I don't wear gloves, and that's like a constant thing that pisses off my audience now. Because like for a while there, I did wear gloves. It wasn't really gloves; it was a morph suit that I chopped up into pieces and like wore as like a weird
Yeah.
uh, tank top with arms. But
Okay. Yeah. How dare you have the indecency to show your hands? Oh, cover up.
yeah, no, I have a really big Sharia thing going on my channel. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Oh,
missing the mark. Like honestly, kudos to that guy. His imitation of my mannerisms and like my way of speaking and like the way I sometimes repeat myself to try to drive home a point. Like I'll phrase it a couple slightly different ways and repeat it. Or my whole thing with like Bob the Rock and fuck, like there were so many things. There were so many things that he just nailed. And that was really what prompted me to actually respond to it. Like if he'd done a completely dumb parody, like a completely bad parody, the thing is, it was a good parody, except for the parody of the arguments. And so there was like basically bad refutation done sarcastically, sarcastic refutation,
yeah.
combined with really good parody. And I was like, that's a perfect combination. I have to respond to this.
Yeah. And the final question from Christopher is there any subject you won't cover, like you won't go into?
Uh, I guess if I'm like really super ignorant on it, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I think at this point, it's mostly the one thing that I really shy away from is anything political. That might
Okay.
change in the future, but I don't know. I kind of felt like I was killing my channel when I was even thinking about doing that. So it's kind of like, no, it's like all atheism and religion and maybe like, weird pseudo religious kind of stuff. Like that thing with like Johann Oldenkamp. I don't know if you would necessarily call that religious, where he's like doing these ultra weird interpretations of Genesis as relates to like musical notes and shit.
Oh,
And
that guy. Oh, that was
I, it was so bizarre. And I'm not even sure if you would necessarily call it religious because I'm pretty sure, like, I guess it is. It's just his own personal invented religion that he's trying to start or something.
yeah, I heard
But it's not
that.
any traditional religion for sure.
Like, yeah, I heard that when you were responding to it, and I'm like, is this guy for real? Like,
Yeah.
is he serious? It's like, oh my god, this is. I was laughing at his arguments because they're just so out there. But
Yeah. And at first I was like, at first it was one of that sometimes when you see stuff that's too crazy, you think for a second, like, I can't respond to this because there's nothing I can say. Like,
yeah,
it's on its face insane. But the reason I did him was because he was insane in the way that he's actually making arguments and making points and making concise, coherent statements. It's just that what he's saying is batshit insane. But when it's like that, you can respond to it. A lot of the time, it's just all over the place, and you don't even know what the hell they're trying to say. And there's no real arguments. It's kind of like the guy who says he dreamed it, except even worse, where it's like they just kind of say things, but they never actually like uh, have any justification for it. Whereas this guy actually had arguments for it. And so at first I thought he was going to be one of those true crazy that I couldn't really respond to. But then it was like, no, he's actually making arguments. It's just his arguments are ones I've never heard before, for sure, and
yeah,
very, very bad. And
yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was worth doing 4 videos. It wasn't worth doing more. His whole speech is like that, though. Like, if I ever want to go back to it, it's right there waiting for me because it's all the same thing, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that will do it for our interview. Thank you for coming back and doing this part two. It was you gotta love the tech issues that like to happen.
Oh yeah.
So thank you everybody for joining me today. This is Caproni signing out.
Thanks. It was